In a world that moves faster every single day, where notifications constantly demand attention and distractions pull us in every direction, reading stands as one of the few activities that brings clarity, depth, and true understanding. Reading is not just about going through lines of text or turning pages. It is a mental workout, a journey, a tool for growth, and a gateway into perspectives that would otherwise remain hidden. When you read, you allow your mind to slow down, absorb ideas, and build meaningful insights that shape how you think and act. Unlike short videos or quick social media posts, reading requires you to engage with information on a deeper level. It forces the mind to imagine, analyze, and question. Whether it's a novel, a self-improvement book, an article, or even a biography, reading gives you the chance to connect with ideas that have the power to shift your mindset and improve your decision-making. One of the biggest reasons reading is so important is its ability to expand knowledge. Every time you open a book, you unlock a new world, new concepts, new cultures, new strategies, and new ways of viewing life. Reading gives you access to the thoughts and experiences of people you have never met, from places you may never visit, and from times long before you were born. This makes reading one of the most powerful ways to learn without physically going anywhere. It is like traveling through time, stepping into another person's shoes, and gaining wisdom from the greatest minds in history. When you read consistently, you naturally become a more informed and articulate person. Your vocabulary improves, your communication becomes clearer, and you start understanding complex ideas with greater confidence. Reading also plays a huge role in mental development. It stimulates parts of the brain that enhance focus, memory, and creativity. When you read, your brain is constantly making connections, linking new ideas with what you already know, imagining scenes, building visuals, and predicting what might happen next. This mental activity keeps the brain sharp and active, almost like exercise for your mind. Over time, reading helps build stronger neural pathways, which improves cognitive function. That's why people who read regularly often think more critically, solve problems faster, and express themselves more effectively. Reading also reduces stress by giving your mind a peaceful escape. For a moment, the noise of the world fades away, and you enter a space where only the words and ideas matter. But perhaps the most underrated benefit of reading is its impact on personal growth. Books have the power to transform your thinking and change your life. A single book can introduce you to new habits, teach you lessons that you carry for years, or completely reshape your goals. Many successful people attribute their achievements to reading. It gives you access to strategies that you can apply to your career, your mindset, your relationships, and your overall lifestyle. Reading exposes you to stories of perseverance, discipline, failure, and triumph. It inspires you to reflect, improve, and move forward with purpose. And as we dive deeper into this topic, the question becomes even more interesting. What specific ways does reading shape your success and influence the person you are becoming? Stay with me, because the next part reveals how reading silently builds the foundation of your achievements. But if reading is this powerful, why do so many people still overlook it? And what are they missing out on without even realizing it? Let's uncover that in the next section. Another reason reading is incredibly important is the way it shapes your mindset and emotional intelligence. We often think of reading as something academic, but in reality, it deeply influences how we understand ourselves and others. When you read stories that explore human emotions, conflicts, motivations, and challenges, you naturally begin to develop empathy. You start seeing the world through the eyes of different characters, cultures, and experiences. This builds emotional awareness, the ability to understand why people act the way they do, how emotions influence decisions, and how different perspectives can exist at the same time. In a world where misunderstandings and conflicts often arise from lack of awareness, the emotional intelligence gained through reading becomes a powerful tool. It helps you communicate better, connect deeper, and respond to situations with more maturity. Reading also has a profound impact on mental discipline. In today's fast-paced world, attention spans are shrinking, and people often struggle to stay focused on one task for long. Reading trains your mind to concentrate. When you sit with a book, whether physical or digital, you commit to following a line of thought from start to finish. This trains your attention, making you more capable of staying present in your daily tasks. Over time, this discipline carries over into work, studies, and personal life. You become more productive, more patient, and more capable of handling complex tasks. Reading essentially strengthens your ability to stay mentally organized, which is something very few other activities offer in the same way. Another huge benefit is that reading sparks creativity. Every page you read introduces you to new ideas, images, and possibilities. Even when you're reading nonfiction, the brain is actively visualizing concepts. This creative activity is what fuels innovation. Artists, writers, entrepreneurs, and even scientists often credit reading as the source of their most impactful ideas. When your mind is exposed to a wide range of thoughts, from fantasy worlds to real-life success journeys, it becomes easier to think outside the box. You start developing original ideas, exploring different solutions, and imagining new opportunities. Creativity isn't just about art. It's about problem-solving, strategy, leadership, and the ability to adapt. Reading gives your mind the raw materials to create something new. Furthermore, reading builds confidence. When you understand more about the world, you naturally become more sure of yourself. You can engage in conversations more comfortably, express your ideas more clearly, and make decisions with stronger understanding. Knowledge removes uncertainty. It gives you the courage to step into new environments, take on new challenges, and trust your abilities. Reading also exposes you to stories of struggle and achievement, which can be incredibly motivating. Seeing how others overcame obstacles helps you believe that you can too. This kind of confidence is powerful, and it all grows from the simple habit of reading consistently. All of these benefits, empathy, focus, creativity, and confidence, are often underestimated because they develop silently. You don't notice the change immediately, but over weeks, months, and years, reading gradually shapes the person you become. And the more you read, the more these qualities strengthen and influence your success, relationships, and overall mindset. But reading is not just about personal growth. It plays a major role in your future success. How does reading influence your career, your financial decisions, and the way you solve problems? Let's explore that next. Reading also plays a crucial role in shaping your future success, especially in the areas where knowledge, decision-making, and problem-solving matter the most. In almost every profession, whether it's business, technology, education, healthcare, or creative industries, reading is the foundation of learning. The more you read, the more you understand how things work. Reading exposes you to strategies, case studies, experiments, and real-life examples that you can apply directly to your work or personal projects. When you read consistently, you start noticing patterns, what works, what fails, and why people succeed. You begin to form sharper judgments, which help you avoid common mistakes and make smarter choices. Many of the world's top achievers, from CEOs to innovators, credit their success to reading regularly. They treat books like mentors, guides that teach them lessons they would otherwise learn through years of trial and error. When you read about entrepreneurship, leadership, psychology, or financial planning, you gain insights that would take decades to gather on your own. This gives you an advantage in every area of your life. Reading helps you develop a strategic mindset, one that sees opportunities instead of obstacles and solutions instead of problems. It trains your brain to think ahead, plan effectively, and respond intelligently to challenges. Another powerful aspect of reading is its ability to improve communication skills, which is essential for professional success. The more you read, the more naturally your vocabulary expands. You start understanding how sentences flow, how ideas connect, and how arguments are structured. Your ability to express yourself clearly improves, whether you're writing emails, giving presentations, or holding conversations. Being able to communicate well makes you more persuasive, more confident, and more respected in your field. Reading also introduces you to new styles of thinking, allowing you to adapt your communication to different people and situations. This flexibility is a skill that can elevate you in any career. Reading also enhances problem-solving abilities. When you read about the challenges others have faced, whether in history, business, or personal stories, you begin to understand how different situations can be approached. You learn to analyze situations from multiple angles and come up with solutions that are creative and logical. Books expose you to scenarios you may never experience firsthand, preparing you in advance for the unexpected. Whether you're dealing with a difficult decision, a conflict, or a new opportunity, reading strengthens your capacity to respond with clarity and confidence. That on top of that, reading boosts long-term adaptability. The world is constantly changing, new technologies, shifting industries, evolving global trends. Those who read regularly remain informed, updated, and ready to adapt. Instead of resisting change, they understand it. Instead of fearing new challenges, they prepare for them. Reading gives you the knowledge to stay ahead, to upgrade your skills, and to remain competitive in a fast-paced world. It teaches you how to grow, how to evolve, and how to continue improving even when the world is moving quickly. Reading is not just a habit, it's an investment in your future. Every page contributes to your growth, shaping the way you think, work, and succeed. By feeding your mind with knowledge and experiences, you're building a stronger foundation for everything you want to achieve. But reading doesn't only change your mind or your success. It transforms your daily life in ways you may not even notice. Want to know how reading improves your habits, your routine, and your overall well-being? Let's continue. Reading does more than shape your intelligence and career. It deeply influences your everyday life, your habits, and your overall sense of well-being. In a noisy world full of constant digital stimulation, reading gives your mind a rare moment of peace. When you open a book, you step into a quiet mental space where thoughts become calmer and focused. This mental stillness is powerful because it helps reduce stress, anxiety, and emotional overwhelm. Studies consistently show that even a few minutes of reading can lower stress levels more effectively than many other relaxation techniques. The reason is simple. Reading shifts your attention away from worries and guides your mind into a narrative or idea that captures your focus. This not only slows your racing thoughts, but also helps you regain clarity. Beyond emotional relief, reading strengthens discipline and builds positive routines. When you make reading a habit, even if it's just 10 or 20 minutes a day, you train your mind to show up consistently. This habit teaches structure, patience, and delayed gratification, qualities that influence all areas of life. Someone who reads daily is more likely to develop better time management, maintain long-term commitments, and build healthier daily routines. Reading becomes a form of self-care, something you do not because you must, but because it nourishes your mind. Over time, the habit becomes a rhythm, a grounding moment in your day that keeps you balanced and mentally refreshed. Another powerful benefit of reading is its ability to improve your memory. When you read, your brain is working to store characters, plot lines, concepts, facts, and connections. It must retain details and recall them as the story or information continues. This mental exercise acts like a natural workout for the brain, strengthening memory and improving long-term cognitive function. People who read frequently often notice an improvement in their ability to remember details, stay organized, and keep track of multiple tasks. Reading enhances mental sharpness in a way that few other activities can match. Reading also encourages reflection, a priceless habit in a world that rarely slows down. Books often introduce lessons, philosophies, and perspectives that prompt you to think deeply about your own life. Whether it's a motivational book that triggers self-improvement, a novel that explores human struggles, or a biography that reveals the journey of a successful individual, reading can inspire personal breakthroughs. You begin to understand your own patterns, desires, strengths, and weaknesses. This reflection leads to emotional maturity and better decision-making. It helps you grow not just intellectually, but also spiritually and personally. Then comes one of the most beautiful aspects of reading. It enhances imagination. Whether you're reading fiction, history, science, or personal development, the mind paints pictures. It imagines places you've never visited, scenarios you've never lived, and possibilities you've never considered. This imaginative exercise fuels curiosity and keeps the mind active. It makes you more creative, more open-minded, and more willing to explore new opportunities. Imagination is not something only children should nurture. Adults need it too, especially when navigating challenges or building dreams. Reading keeps this part of your mind alive and vibrant. Finally, reading enriches your conversations and relationships. When you read, you bring new ideas into discussions. You communicate with more confidence, listen with more understanding, and express yourself more clearly. You become someone who can contribute meaningfully in conversations, whether casual or professional. This strengthens connections and builds respect within social circles. But we're not done yet. What happens when reading becomes a lifelong habit? How does it transform your identity, your worldview, and the legacy you leave behind? The next section will reveal exactly that when reading becomes a lifelong habit, it doesn't just influence your daily life, it fundamentally shapes the person you become. A consistent reader develops a mindset that is more adaptable, more thoughtful, and more open to growth. Over the years, the ideas you absorb from books gradually form a mental library that you carry with you everywhere. This internal library becomes a source of guidance, comfort, and wisdom during difficult times. It helps you make decisions with clarity because your mind can compare your current situation with countless lessons you've learned from the experiences of others. This is one of the reasons readers often appear calm, balanced, and insightful. They've spent years feeding their minds with perspectives that help them navigate life. Another transformation happens in how you view the world. Reading introduces you to cultures, beliefs, and lifestyles that may be completely different from your own. This teaches you how diverse the world truly is. It breaks down prejudice, expands your understanding, and helps you appreciate differences instead of fearing them. Readers develop a global mindset, one that sees connections between people rather than divisions. This kind of awareness makes you more compassionate, more respectful, and more capable of building meaningful relationships. It also prepares you to operate effectively in a world where cultural intelligence is becoming more important than ever. Reading also strengthens resilience. Every story of perseverance you encounter, every chapter where someone overcomes hardship, and every biography that highlights struggle and success becomes a silent source of motivation. These stories settle in your subconscious and influence how you face your own challenges. When life tests you, you recall the struggles of characters or real people you've read about, reminding you that obstacles are temporary and growth is possible. You begin to view difficulties not as dead ends, but as opportunities to evolve. This resilient mindset is one of the greatest gifts reading gives. Additionally, reading enriches your sense of purpose. Books help you discover what resonates with you, what excites you, what inspires you, and what drives you. Sometimes, a single sentence in a book can awaken a dream or confirm a direction you were unsure about. Readers often find themselves exploring new interests, trying new skills, or pursuing paths they never thought about before. Reading exposes you to possibilities that might otherwise remain hidden. It gives you the courage to follow your curiosity and the insight to choose goals that truly align with your values. Another deep transformation comes from the discipline that reading builds over time. A lifelong reader learns the importance of small, consistent actions. One page at a time becomes one chapter, one book, 1 year of growth, and eventually a lifetime of accumulated knowledge. This discipline extends into other areas of life as well: fitness, work, finances, relationships, and personal development. You learn that big changes start with small habits, and reading becomes a daily reminder of the power of consistency. Finally, reading shapes the legacy you leave behind. The thoughts you gather, the wisdom you absorb, and the habits you build influence the way you teach, guide, and inspire others. Whether it's your children, your friends, your colleagues, or your audience, your reading habit becomes a source of value that naturally spreads to the people around you. Readers don't just grow, they help others grow too. But what if you haven't built a reading habit yet? What if you want to start today, but don't know how to stay consistent or choose the right books? The final section gives you simple steps to begin your reading journey the right way. If you haven't built a reading habit yet, the best part is that it's never too late to start. You don't need to finish a book in a day or read for hours. All you need is a simple, consistent approach that fits into your daily routine. The first step is choosing what genuinely interests you. Many people struggle with reading because they force themselves to read topics they don't connect with. Instead, start with subjects you already enjoy, whether it's personal development, mystery, history, science, psychology, business, or spirituality. When you begin with topics that excite you, reading becomes something you look forward to rather than something you feel pressured to do. Next, create a small daily routine. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day is enough to build momentum. The goal is not speed, it's consistency. You can read in the morning to set a positive tone for the day, during lunch breaks to refresh your mind, or at night to relax before sleeping. These small reading sessions compound over time, turning into chapters, books, and eventually a strong reading habit. What matters most is showing up regularly. Once the habit becomes natural, you can slowly increase the time if you want, but never pressure yourself. Another way to build a strong reading habit is by reducing distractions. In our digital world, it's easy to start reading and then switch to social media within minutes. Try putting your phone on silent, turning off notifications, or using a quiet space for reading. Some people find that listening to soft background music helps them stay focused. Find what works best for you and make reading a comfortable, enjoyable experience instead of struggle. Remember, reading should feel like a calming escape, not a task on your to-do list. You can also experiment with different types of books to discover your reading personality. Some people love physical books, others prefer ebooks, and many enjoy audiobooks while traveling or working out. There is no right or wrong format. What matters is that you are absorbing knowledge and staying engaged. If you find it hard to sit and read for long, Audiobooks are a great option because they allow you to read while doing other activities. Find a style that makes reading easier and more enjoyable for you. Another powerful tip is to set small reading goals. For example, decide to read 5 pages a day, finish one book a month, or explore a new topic every week. Goals help you stay motivated and give you a sense of progress. You can also keep a reading journal. Note your favorite lessons, quotes, and ideas from each book. This helps reinforce what you learn and makes reading feel more meaningful. Over time, you'll start noticing positive changes in how you think, communicate, and approach challenges. Finally, surround yourself with a reading environment. Follow reading communities online, join book discussions, or share book recommendations with friends. Being part of a reading culture keeps you inspired and accountable. When you see others reading and growing, you naturally feel motivated to stay on your own journey. And remember this, reading is not about finishing books. It's about transforming your mind. Even if you read slowly, every page adds to your growth. Building a reading habit is one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself. It shapes your future, strengthens your mind, and opens doors to opportunities you never imagined. The journey starts with a single page, and that one page can change everything that if a single page can transform your life, imagine what consistent reading can do. Are you ready to begin your reading journey today?